Thank you so much, Shauna, and thank you to all the organizers and everyone for being here. I think lightning talks are a lot of fun, and I'm actually going to buck the trend a little bit. I don't have slides, so I'm just going to give a narrative, and you'll have to look at me. So I'm going to share a story about growing a workforce development program, and I love that our first talk tonight was about workforce development, but growing a workforce development program during a pandemic, or to put it differently, when the world feels like it's in the wrong place at the wrong time, how to be at the right place at the right time, even though it's in the middle of a pandemic. So it was about 1 year ago. Actually, it was exactly 1 year ago. It was this month. It might even have been this week that my colleagues introduced Albany Can Code to HV Tech. I'll just add that at that time in December 2019, I didn't know that I was going to be joining the team full time, but I did kind of have a feeling that I might find my way here. And so I've been here for the last year. And, what I've learned is that there are so many challenges, even before the pandemic, with the tech sector and workforce development. And for people that don't know what workforce development is, which is totally understandable because it's kind of a term of art, it's just helping people get the skills they need to get jobs. And so, as the first speaker mentioned, it's a huge problem in the tech industry. We have a shortage of talent. It prevents companies from being able to grow. And if you look at the community that we have here and all over the country, there's a lot of people that could use better jobs. So putting this together is really really important and kind of what led me to this work. And when the pandemic started, there was so much coming at us from every angle. But the thing that we kept looking at was the new jobless claims. We had been helping people in the hospitality industry, for example, get training for tech jobs. For the organization's been around since 2016, so this was nothing new. But what was changing was that it was no longer helping individual people who decided they wanted to make a shift. It was the whole world changing around us, and people in hospitality really having no choice. People in tourism, industries really having no choice. People in the arts, and kind of a huge shift was happening. And it wasn't just happening in the tech industry. We saw every industry completely changing. Every single industry, once the pandemic became reliant on technology, essentially became a tech company in order to continue operations. So this meant that if you were someone who was out of work, or if you were someone that wanted to keep from being out of work, you needed a basic digital literacy. And we had been running digital literacy classes, but mostly just as an on-ramp to get people into our software classes to kind of close that gap for people that hadn't been exposed to technology at all. And so we started talking to different counties and cities in the area that we serve, which is the Hudson Valley now and Albany. And we started talking about digital literacy training, and it's become one of our biggest focuses for the year. One of the biggest requests from people that we get is they just want to be able to update their resume. They've never used Microsoft Word before. They might have never made a resume before. This is really critical. And then one of the things that really has touched my heart, and is just anyone with kids will know exactly what I'm talking about. We have people signing up for the digital literacy classes who are parents who have kids that are logging onto Zoom and logging on to Teams, and they don't have the digital literacy skills to help them do that. They just want to be able to help their kids like literally go to school. And I'll just add as a side note, it's a little bit crazy to be offering digital literacy training digitally. So you imagine the first couple classes can be a little bit challenging. Spend a lot of time on the phone with students so that we can just help them log in and get in the class. And while all of this is happening, we're still trying to grow our software classes. And as you can guess, we've got more students now than ever before, and the outcomes are still going great. I mean, the tech industry seems to be unfazed by the pandemic. And we've also seen tech employers. I think this is something that all of us in the tech industry can be really proud of. Tech employers are really integral in the pandemic response. And for example, one of the employers in our network just hired 12 graduates in the last few months. And this is an employer that has a system that is doing contact tracing for a couple of states. And when the pandemic struck, we were horrified, just like everybody else was. And quite frankly, I'm still horrified about what it would mean for our organization. There's still a lot of uncertainty. But it just happened that at that specific moment, we were in the midst of applying for a grant that we had just been advanced to the second round of. And we didn't know if we were going to get that grant. And that was the grant that was going to help us expand to the Hudson Valley. The one that when we stood here in December and said that we're going to be doing work in the Hudson Valley, that was the grant that we were relying on coming through to help make that happen. Well, luckily, the state saw the need to keep investing in people, and we were able to get that grant. And we can use that to give scholarships to people in the Hudson Valley and in Albany. And one cool thing about moving to remote is that now we can serve students anywhere with any classes. So we can have students from any region. We've got students from out of state. We've even got students from out of the country that are applying. Although a big thing of what we do is matching people with jobs, and I'll talk about that in a second. But you know, it's really helped us expand our kind of service area, and totally made us rethink the way we do work. I mean, it's an industry that is completely changed, both tech and workforce development, and we happen to be doing tech workforce development. And on the topic of getting folks hired, there's this really interesting shift to hiring remotely. And for those of us in tech, we know hiring remotely isn't really a shift. It's kind of one that we've already experienced. But it, in a way, has totally expanded the opportunities for our students. So they can now get placed anywhere now that everybody's kind of accustomed to working remotely. We've also seen the employers in the area who have always been asking us, just like the first speaker, Thomas, was asking about needing to hire here. They're now more comfortable hiring locally. So it's kind of like, well, there's opportunities, but there's also the employment landscape is now employers can kind of go anywhere. But what we've found is employers really, really value the fact that we're still willing to tailor a curriculum to what they're going to be hiring for. Like, we can actually put together a class that's going to line up with those specific skills. And I think one thing that is really a strong thread that's woven in the fabric of the HV Tech community, and I think this is also true in the community that we have in Albany, is that people really care about the region that they live in. They care about the people that they see when they walk down the street. That's how the company got started, was walking down the street and being like, I can't hire, and there are all these people that I would really like to see, their lives improve as well. And so there is, I think, a kind of an interest for employers to continue to invest in the community, even though they can hire everywhere. And so we're really hoping that we're kind of we're able to maintain those relationships and drive that kind of customization to what we can do, which makes it totally unlike a traditional boot camp. As you can see, like, we're actually going to call people and help them log into Zoom if they're in one of our digital literacy classes. And that's a little bit unique. So while things seem absolutely crazy and the pandemic is reaching new levels of disruptions, it really does feel like we were in the right place at the right time, or maybe the right place at a time when nothing else feels right. Either way, we're about to start our second semester of classes in the Hudson Valley. And in the middle of a pandemic, there is nothing I would rather be doing than helping people. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Abe.